after you have created the line drawings of the character, find a good reference photo of the exact lighting that you want to use on this character. So to start with, I'm going to use the lightest flesh tone marker to shade in the face. So make sure that the marker has lots of ink. And I'm just going to wet the entire face first. So press the marker down smoothly and then never lifting it up. And if the marker is not smooth, then go over it twice. So the important thing is to make it smooth. I'm going over some of the area twice to make it smooth. So with the marker still wet, I'm going to move on to the next. It's the slightly darker flesh tone marker. And decide on the lighting. The lighting is coming down this way. So I'm going to put down some shadow underneath the eyes. So keep this really light for now at the beginning to evaluate whether you like the shading or not. If you don't quite like the shading, then you will be able to make changes to it. Okay. That seems to look pretty good. And I'm going to make the left side of the face a little bit darker. And then, so let me change the directions of the light source. I want the light source that's coming from this direction. So making the left side a little bit darker. So I'm just going to try it first with the same marker. Just go and going over this. Going over the left side. Usually underneath the lips, it gets a little bit darker. It has to cast a little bit of shadow right here. So after this, it seems to look pretty good. So then I'm going to keep on doing this. Accelerating the marker tip, so then I get a lighter value. So I get a really good gradation happening this way. Also, let's see. So at this stage, I can still make changes to the lighting depending on the look, whether I like the outcome or not. Okay, that seems to look pretty good. Okay. So let's move on to the next step. The next step is to one step darker. I'm just moving from the lightest values I have, gradually go darker. And over here, this part of the face should be darker. This part of the face is going to be in shadow. Underneath the eyes, making this a little bit darker. So this is the eye socket, making this a little bit darker still. This side of the face is in shadow, so I'm gradually darkening it. Don't go too dark too quickly, because then it will be very hard to recover once you go too dark. Okay, that seems to look pretty good. So at this point, I'm going to darken the lips. I'm going to put in a little bit of modeling, a little bit of shading underneath the cheekbone. So I'm going to use the lightest marker. To put in just a little bit of slight shadow for now. Once again, to see if it works. That seems to look pretty good. I'm going to darken this area just a touch more. While the marker is still wet, this will allow me to blend really, really easily. Also, let me darken what's underneath the nose. Cast a little bit of shadow down here. So let me move on to the next marker. Making this area just a little bit darker. looks pretty good. So move on to the next level, the next darker marker. Once again, little at a time, adding the shading. Then use a slightly lighter marker to blend. To make the shading a little bit smoother. Cast just a little bit more shadow. Darkening the lips. Switching to a slightly darker marker. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's put in some details, shading details on the ear. Now the face is looking pretty good. I'm going to move on to the neck area. So I'm going to start with the second shading, the second lightest shading for the neck. Once again, draw this really smooth. Gonna go over it one more time to smooth out the shading. Then move on to the slightly darker marker and put in the shadow. Darkening the shadow just a little bit more. and then switching back to the 20, to the second lightest, and then to blend, so then the shading on the face area is smooth. So always use a lighter marker to blend, to smooth out the shading. So the hair is going to cast some shadow onto the neck. So I'm going to put in a slightly darker skin tone along the hairline right here. So next, I'm going to move on to the hair. So I'm going to use a slightly darker flesh tone marker. To give the hair area a little bit of brownish tint. The marker stroke should follow the flow of the hair. You can see that now the marker texture is going to give you the look of the hair, the flowing hair. So I'm using the sharp end of the marker, and then gradually it goes to a slightly darker. Okay. So next I'm going to use the warm gray marker to darken the hair. Gradually goes darker.